This is the moment many have been waiting for. A popular mayor announcing his bid to run for president. His promise to rid the Philippines of crime and corruption his way.
One shot in the head would do it.
Rodrigo Duterte has been accused of human rights abuses, of ordering extrajudicial killings of suspected criminals. But this feared man has cleaned up one of the country's most violent cities, and that has given him rock star status.
Mayor Rodrigo Duterte!
I'm Steve Chow. On this episode of 101 East, we're on the campaign trail with the Dirty Harry of Philippine politics. Rodrigo Duterte is far from your average politician. The 71-year-old mayor of Davao City, in the southern Philippines island of Mindanao, is unapologetic about his professed love for women, guns, and fast bikes.
I would rather lose the election than lose my identity. My character is my identity.
The mayor is banking on his unique personality to win over a country of 100 million. He's agreed to let us follow him on his whirlwind campaign tour.
Bakit ako tumakbo? Palitan na natin itong inang buhay na ito.
To witness his style of leadership.
Minsan lang pagka-presidente ng taga Mindanao. Bagay noon, makadayo na yun mo dito. Bisita mo. Hinahala ng mga gwapa, ng mga pangit pamilya.
His off-the-cuff remarks are legendary. At this mass wedding, Duterte offers himself as a gift to the young brides.
Wala kay ko'y kwarta, pero naa ko'y ikahatsag ninyo. And this is for the wives. Way labot ang bana ani, kay di ko nagaregalo o laki, kay dili ko bayot.
And despite advisors suggesting he avoid it, he's often been filmed kissing his female followers. You've been shown on TV kissing many of your female supporters on the lips. You've had, according to many reports, girlfriends. What is this all about? Are you a serial womanizer, as many people claim?
No, I do not pull women to my face and kiss them. It's a women who go near and with the pouted lips.
So are you saying this is part of your duty, your service, to kiss women?
No, it's part of making the people happy when they see me. And if it's the Miss Universe, then I'll say, what's your number?
He's the most outrageous, the most colorful, and the most interesting character in these upcoming presidential elections.
Political watchers like Marites Vitog say for a country known for its leadership scandals, Duterte still surprises.
We like to compare him to Trump of the US because he likes to shock with his statements. He can be very irreverent and very reckless.
And like Trump, Duterte appears very aware the shocking grabs the spotlight and votes. He openly insults the establishment, political leaders, and in this conservative Catholic country, he's even insulted the Pope. Yet, polls have him as one of the top presidential candidates. For a man who's never held a national political seat, he has a legion of fans. On this night, we watch as he's suddenly swamped by these young women. Just down the road, we meet another group of supporters, sex workers. He's the first mayor in the Philippines to order his police force not to arrest prostitutes. Why are you so protective of them?
It's human dignity. You cannot give jobs to everybody. The oldest profession in the world. It's everywhere.
So you don't see this as a case of
No, it's
criminality?
Not, personally, I don't look at it as a crime. It's a public health issue.
Duterte may be relaxed on some issues, but as he campaigns from the inner cities to the rural farmlands, he's hardline when it comes to crime and corruption. And he's making big campaign promises of cleaning up.
I will solve drugs, criminality, pati corruption sa gobyerno. Binibigyan ko lang ang sarili ko 3 to 6 months.
You pledged that within 3 to 6 months, you will get rid of corruption in the government.
Yes.
How is that possible?
Look, if you are into the presidency even for 2 months, and you cannot stop corruption, even if you are given 10 years, you can never stop it.
But what will you do to those in government that you find to be corrupt?
I will prosecute them to the hilt.
Duterte says he's tired of corrupt politicians who promise to clean up communities, but end up doing little. If made president, he vows that crime-ridden slums will be a thing of the past.
I am the only remaining card left for the Filipinos to deal with the situation. I hold it. It's my ace.
What is it about you that makes you say that you are the only one that can clean up this country?
By the persona. Because I'm the only person to date who would say, stop it or I'll kill you.
To prove what he can do, Duterte is giving us unfettered access to his hometown, Davao. The city was once one of the poorest and most violent in the Philippines, plagued by drugs, gangs, and murders. Today, crime is down, and it's one of the best-run cities in the country, including its emergency services.
We have a trauma case in the northern part of Davao City. We just have to go there to assess the patient.
The mayor's revolutionized how they are run, creating a centralized response center of firefighters, police, and paramedics. On average, these medics can get to an emergency scene within 8 minutes. That's better than anywhere in the country. In fact, that's better than most places in the world.
Okay, let's go.
The injured man turns out to be a security guard who got in a minor scrap in a parking lot. The medics quickly patch him up. Duterte's made ambulance services like this free to all citizens of Davao. Paramedics like Micah Espina and her colleagues are considered some of the best trained in Asia. And the mayor watches their every move, firing people on the spot if they're not up to task.
He implements orders. He is very strict with us. He sets protocols that we must follow.
So you're always on tippy toes, making sure you're doing everything right.
Exactly, we do that.
You don't mind that?
We don't mind that because it's saving lives, basically.
We soon learn it's not only government employees that Duterte keeps an eye on. The mayor has set up hundreds of traffic and security cameras throughout the city. They're capable of zooming in, capturing the minutest detail. Citizens here know they're being watched 24/7. With so many cameras, it's difficult for criminals to get away with much. And if a crime is committed, his 1,000-plus force of loyal officers are ready to act.
Because the mayor not allowed big time pushers, laboratory here. The mayor gets mad.
Critics have accused the mayor of running the city like a police state. But Inspector Ronald Lau says Davao before Duterte was a violent hell. How bad was it before? In 1980s, you said there was a lot of crime. How bad was it?
When you walk along the road, sometimes you stab, you shoot people.
Now, according to some surveys, it's the 4th safest city in the world. Officers credit the mayor's policy of zero tolerance towards crime.
Criminals are hesitant to commit crime here because if they are not arrested, and killed.
If they're not arrested, they're killed.
Yeah. Especially if the arm with the firearms, any attempt to shoot the arresting officers.
You guys will just kill them.
Yes, yes.
This is a submachine gun. It's a 9mm, but it's not automatic.
An avid gun collector, Duterte's house is full of them.
This is made in Israel, Desert Eagle.
And he admits to not being afraid to use them. So you killed before?
Yes, 3 men. There were criminals driving out of the house of the victim. The 3 guys in one car.
In one car. Were you scared then?
No, at the moment of the firing, no. It was a matter of just hitting your target. You're all focused.
Duterte says he's killed 3 men by his own hands. Rights groups say he's responsible for many more by using death squads to clean up the city. A string of more than 1,000 unsolved assassinations, many teenagers, has raised questions about how Duterte lays down the law. So who's this victim?
This 16 years old alleged drug addict.
Independent investigators have documented how many of those murdered were innocent victims, mistaken for criminals.
Same thing
here.
Also, mistaken identity, 20-year-old laborer. If he has a penchant for, dismissing judicial process, penchant for doing swift justice, then what does that say of his regard for, for popular decision-making, for popular processes or democratic processes?
You say you've killed 3 people. Some people say you've killed thousands.
No, that's impossible. If you say that I killed a man, a criminal, kneeling down before me with his hands tied at the back.
Human rights groups say it was because you created death squads to get rid of crime.
I do not need to set up death squad. It's the job of every policeman or every citizen in the city to make the arrest.
But there are those who see themselves as victims of Duterte's brand of justice. In the markets of Davao, we meet Clarita Alia. All 4 of her teenage sons were assassinated by gunmen. She remembers each of their deaths like it was just yesterday.
Their murder started in 2001. Police accused my oldest son, Richard, of raping someone. But they had no warrants or proof, so I wouldn't let them take him. The police officer came back and said he would kill all my sons.
One by one, Clarita says her children were hunted down. While one police officer was demoted in relation to their deaths, no one's ever been charged. And though there's no evidence Duterte was involved, she blames his vigilante approach to justice.
I don't want him to be president. So many have already died while he's been mayor. How many more will die under his presidency?
So to all those who accuse you of human rights abuses, what do you have to say to them?
File the case.
The mayor has never been charged with any rights abuses, but it appears Davao's successful fight against crime has led to a wave of copycats in other cities. At a safe house, we meet an active cell of assassins. How many people have you killed? 18 people. And yourself?
20.
20 people. Is this your gun? Can I see it?
Yes.
These armed men say they're hired by police to take out undesirables. Who are the people you go after?
Mga kriminal.
We go after criminals. We kill them. Drug addicts too.
But do you feel it's right to kill criminals? Shouldn't they be arrested by police and then tried in court?
It's easier if we kill them ourselves than actually go through the process of taking them to court. If they go to prison, eventually they'll get out. At least this way, justice is served.
And guaranteed kill that way. All these men have regular jobs, but believe it's their civic duty to aggressively clean up their streets. What do you guys think of Mayor Duterte and his tough stance on crime?
This is what we are coping here. Davao was so dangerous before. It was full of criminals and drug addicts. They were all killed, and now it's peaceful there.
But for some, these actions echo a dark period in Philippine history. What was martial law like here in the Philippines?
It was really a very scary period in our lives.
In the 1970s, then-President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law in the Philippines. Over a decade, tens of thousands were arrested, tortured, and thousands more killed. Marcos justified his actions in the name of peace and order. What worries some observers is that Duterte has publicly described Marcos as the best president the country has ever had.
He's very reckless. He just speaks what comes to his mind. So, does he really mean it? And when he says, I have no qualms about killing you, does he really mean that? What does that say if he becomes president? What was the say of our democracy?
Still, in a country with some of the highest crime rates in Asia, Marites says she understands his public appeal.
Is their desire to have Duterte as president because he's supposedly a strong man, decisive and firm, but not considering what could be the repercussions of an authoritarian regime on our freedoms.
There are many people that worry that your strong form of leadership could eventually lead you to take democracy away and push towards dictatorship.
I do not have that messiah complex. You do not go about declaring martial law or revolutionary government if there is really no reason to do it. But if the life of the republic is at stake, then maybe.
Duterte says the only war he plans to wage is against those who break the law.
You have to strike fear in the criminals, but you have to nurture the sense of security of the law-abiding and God-fearing citizens of this city or of this republic.
If elected president, Duterte's biggest challenge may be preventing outright war with Muslim rebels in the southern Philippine island of Mindanao. Government forces have been fighting separatist groups here since the late 1960s. The only solution, says the 71-year-old mayor, is to give regions more autonomy.
I will change the system of government. I will ask them that we go federated states. Federated states have control over the resources.
That's something rebels have been asking for. So to hear what militants think of Duterte's plan, we head for the countryside. While Davao lies in the heart of this conflict in Mindanao, the city's been an oasis of peace because Duterte has made deals with rebel groups. But the National Army still sees them as the enemy, and it's not long after we leave his city that we find a heavy military presence. Minutes after we pass this checkpoint, a bomb kills 4 people. On a dirt road, we meet up with an armed escort. We're now in rebel territory. It's an area the military rarely dares go. With the terrain getting more difficult, we're asked to jump into one of their vehicles. Well, we've got quite a welcome. There's at least 50 to 60 people here. They're heavily armed, there's RPGs, high-caliber machine guns, and they're about to take us to the base. Several armed groups make their home here. Their combined force numbers in the hundreds of thousands. The fighters we're meeting are from the Moro National Liberation Front. In the middle of the jungle, we arrive at one of their camps. Rebel commanders are quick to make it clear that when it comes to politicians and their promises, they're quite disillusioned.
How many decades the national government, all of the national politicians has been just rolling and rolling our peace process with the more national liberation front. There is injustice, there is what we call hardship of the people, and the last is always conflict, war.
For decades, these rebels have been fighting the government over land and resources. So do they believe Duterte's promises to give them more control?
What do you think of Duterte as president?
Well, we believe that Duterte can provide peace, can help the conflict in Mindanao, especially the poor people in Mindanao. We've been waiting for this, how many decades, waiting for this moment.
From rebels to prostitutes to businessmen and the poor, Duterte certainly has an interesting following. And no one more interesting than the leader of a popular religious sect.
And God raised up a begotten son in Israel. His name is Jesus Christ. I am the appointed son of Jesus Christ. My name is Apollo Kibulo. My brothers and sisters,
the Kingdom of Heaven has a reported 7 million followers. And on this night, the congregation is being told to vote for the mayor.
all of his heart, and this is the man God has chosen for us. Let us not fail the will of God in these last days.
The group's donors are helping bankroll Duterte's presidential bid. The 71-year-old says he doesn't have as large a campaign war chest as his rivals and needs all the support he can get. When not in the public eye, Duterte prefers a simple life. Breakfasts are at home with his common-law wife. On this morning, they're going through the latest headlines.
Though Duterte may, in a sense, be part of a political dynasty, his father, a former governor of Davao, is still a small potato in terms of being the ruling elite. I am not a part of the ruling elite. I'll never be a part of the ruling elite. I do not share the vision of the ruling elite. I do not. You do not like me, then so be it. I am what I am.
At 71, Duterte says he was ready to retire and spend more time with family and friends. But he decided to run for president because the lineup of candidates are, in his words, corrupt and incompetent.
And there is no cure for stupidity and incompetence. You cannot go to the doctor and can give you medications to improve your judgmental ability.
Despite being on a grueling campaign trail, Duterte still finds time to enjoy one of his favorite hobbies. In the wee hours of the morning, he takes to the stage.
So, finally, I just like to sing a song.
In his 20 years in political office, he's never lost an election. So could he be the next president of the Philippines?
I do not pretend to be the man of the hour. I am not. So just a man who tried to do it and succeeded, or a man who tried it but failed. History will judge me.
Whatever the outcome, Rodrigo Duterte is a man who sings to his own tune. A man who sees himself as a modern-day crusader, restoring order to a country he says is in desperate need of a savior.